What can be the reasons why the slight nod doesn't work with women? You can totally do the slight nod with women friends. You can fist bump if you want to as well. You can absolutely do it if you don't look like a serial killer. We usually smile at each other instead. Is this a upwards or downwards nod? There is a big difference in the two. My wife got one of these the other day because she was wearing a fake diamond-studded outfit at a concert. Some guy gave the head nod and said, "You're committed." Nice. Saying like you're all in for the show. She was so confused and thought he might have been hitting on her. I said there's a chance he might have been, but most likely he was trying to express respect to you. I kind of explained the head nod to her, but I'm not sure she really got it lol. Makes eye contact with another man. Slight nod equals I acknowledge your presence, I am not a threat and can be communicated with if needed. Makes eye contact with woman is already uncomfortable with eye contact from an unknown male. Slight nod is perceived as doubling down and acknowledging that you are watching them. This feels threatening. I blame the movie Night at the Roxbury for killing the nod and sup. I'm a woman lol and I get nodded at by dudes and I always nod back. You need a nod, wink and a double tongue click. What do you mean? I'm a woman and I give slight nods to people passing by all the time. So, I've never noticed a man vs woman discrepancy with the nods, but I have noticed that if you know someone, you tend to nod upwards. If you don't know someone, you nod down. Ever since I noticed that about myself, I started paying attention to other people, and it's weirdly standard. Like whenever I'm walking across my campus to some class, and I see some dude I know, there's always that exchange of nods and maybe a fist bump or something, but whenever it's a girl, they either stop for a chat or just ignore me. I've honestly never really had a woman react negatively to the nod. Is this an issue you regularly have? I thought this was like a relatively universally agreed upon silent greeting. I'm Hispanic and people of both sexes have always been doing the slight nod. Didn't realize this was a thing that doesn't work with women. I've nodded as a greeting to 100 women and they nodded back. Not really sure there's ever been an issue. Depends on the social norm etiquette if any and the individuals. You can absolutely politely nod to signify a greeting to any gender. They'd probably respond if they are familiar space, approachable looking, or comfortable for with one not zoned out. But the context matters. If you do come off awkward or were perving, it shows and the energy is off. This is to the dudes who try saving their ogling with a nod lol. You've been seen that might not sure be why one looks away, and if the culture is where women are approached too often or not meant to be at all, it's not done, it will come off as an advance. Some cultures asking after a colleague's wife is frowned on because it's seen as prying and ulterior motives. So it is important to be aware of where you are. When in Rome, think global, act local, and all that. It does in my experience. I'm a woman with a bad eyesight. I'd never notice anyone looking at me, so I wouldn't notice nods anyway. I'm a woman. I do the nod with any person I briefly make eye contact with. Well, it all depends on the vibe I get from the dude. I do the slight nod with dudes all the time when accidental and awkward eye contact happens. I nod to women all the time, especially if I don't want to get caught up in a conversation with them. Like when passing someone at work or when someone gets into an elevator. It feels weird to me to pretend I don't see them lol, so I just nod and then ignore. Works like a charm. I don't even know what this is about. Is this an American thing? Do you mean nodding is greeting to someone you barely know but don't want to talk to? I think it also low-key depends on class. Men are more likely to do this in general. But I noticed when I moved from a middle-class area to a working-class area that women do the nod too. The women here are more likely to give bro handshakes, hugs with a clap on the back, the nod, brew, etc. Women here also tend to not give a fuck about crossing their legs or being ladylike. I'm guessing that's because who gives a fuck about being ladylike when you're doing manual labor and having kids at 16? The men here are also less gentlemanly in the fact that they are not off to uni and doing calm interview-ready handshakes, and are also more likely to be working from 16 and already a parent as well. It's interesting. I felt very alienated initially with my private school background and rich family, but it's honestly way more relaxing and chill both in terms of office work, culture, and generally being social. I do it on occasionally do it back to no guys in my neighborhood, but I am more likely to say hello or hi to other women. Does this make me a weirdo? I also buy dresses based on if they have decent pockets. I do a head nod that slightly goes down to more elderly men and they return the nod. I think it's kind of a variation of the nod but more old school. Lol, I guess for men it's a nonverbal sign of greeting. But I wouldn't do a nod to a dude around my age or younger. I think it's too dude-ish to me. I think it doesn't work because women are more likely to actually greet you with words.